Hey, what's up guys, it's Jamie. Today we're going to be looking at the Angular material list, and we're going to be going through the docs and doing all the examples and showing how it all works. So the first example is a very basic list, just has a couple of items. They aren't really interactable in any way, but let's start with that and get that working on our own blank site. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the mat list module. I'm also going to make sure I have the browser animations module imported so we can get any animations that the lists have. And then I'm just going to paste that first example from the site into our HTML. And as you can see, it just has a mat list tag. We don't need this role list. All of this stuff is implied already because I like shorter code. And back on our website, we see the list, just like on the Angular material site. Alright, so the first thing that you can do is make what's called a navigation list, and that's just a list specifically designed for links. Alright, so we're going to copy this example here, and it looks like they're iterating over a array of links, so we'll create that in the TypeScript as well. So inside of the TypeScript, I'm going to make an array called links, and just set it equal to some default links. Okay, so we have our links there, and then inside of the HTML they iterate over them, and then they're not using the href for anything right now, but they're just setting the text to be link, and they have a button next to it which is clickable, and it calls a function called showLink. I'm not going to make it do anything, I'm just going to make it UI only. Oh, also we need the icon module if we want to use this icon tag, and sure we do, as well as the button module. So mat button module, we'll import that, and the mat icon module. And for that to work, you also need to have in your index.html, you need to import the fonts from the Google APIs for Angular material. Back on our site, we should see it working now, and it does. So these are all just a bunch of links now, and they have an icon at the end of them, so that's cool. So again, that's just specifically designed for links. I guess they look a little nicer that way. Okay, next thing we can do is a selection list. That'll look something like this. So I'm going to make that work with our first example we had. So they just have mat list option instead of mat selection list. So I'm going to modify our first example, mat selection list, and mat list option. Alright, so with just those changes we should see our multi-selection working, and indeed it does. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Next thing we can do is here on multi-line lists, we'll see an example of something where the list items span more than just a single line. And to make that work, all you have to do is mark the elements as mat line. So they're going to put an h3 and a paragraph tag, so I'll do something like that as well. So inside mine, I'm going to make an h3 and a paragraph tag, and we'll do another one, but we don't need to do 3. That's fine. And then I also need to mark these as mat line in order for them to work properly. Okay, so there we are. It's a multi-line list. This top portion has slightly bigger font size, but it's not bolded. If we wanted to, we could override the font weight like this. Font weight is bold. That'll look better. So we could just add that styling inside of our CSS, but we're going to be moving on to the next one. Okay, so for a list to have an icon, you just use the mat list icon attribute. So I'll do that. I'll place that at the beginning of each of mine. We'll see what that looks like. Alright, so there we go. There are our icons. And it works with multi-select as well. If you want these to span or all be on the same line, you can just do some basic CSS to get that working that way, but we're going to move on. So you can do the same thing with avatars, images, since that's exactly the same as the icon. I won't cover that. Also, another thing you can do is you can mark a list as dense, and that'll just shrink the formatting of it. So we'll apply that style to our site, and then you'll see everything's now all tiny. And then finally, lists can have multiple sections using a mat divider, followed by a mat subheader. So let's go see that in action. So we use this mat divider between mat list options, and then I'm going to make the top subheader say sub1, and then the second one will say sub2. And that should be all we need to subdivide the lists. Alright, so there we go. We have our subdivisions of this list, and that looks just great. So that's all for the lists. Let me know if you guys like this video in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this.